Kris.
Hey everybody, welcome to Grateful Gratitude, and we've got another video here for you. As always, I'm joined by my co-host. First up, Mark Friedman. How are you, Frito?
Doing great.
And Lolo, how are you? And I'll throw it to you here.
Okay, I'm amazing. Thank you, Kris. Okay, guys, now I've been surrounded by you guys long enough that I have to do a podcast that relates to sports. And this goes way back before any of us were born. But in 1961, Vince Lombardi walked into a locker room. And he walked in with a football. And he held up the football and said, "Gentlemen, this is a football." And the whole purpose of that was to get back to the basics of what they were doing and to let them know that it was important to be as prepared as possible to perform the best that they could. So today, I want to hold this up and say, this is a Bible. And I want to tie it back because what Vince Lombardi said was so simple. And I always tell you guys, I'm a very simple, organic person. Don't get it too complicated because you'll see my eyes roll around. But truly, when I heard that story, I thought we should be saying that today. This is a Bible. Let's talk about Christianity. Let's talk about the importance and what information is in the Bible. What do you guys think?
Kris?
I think sometimes we, like you said, we get it too complicated, right? And we want to go in today, and using your sports analogy, Lolo, you're not going to win the Super Bowl without all your X's and O's, with your defensive schemes, your trick plays, the way you're able to hide the defense and make it look like it's something it's not. The same with the offense. You can't win in today's NFL without that. But to your analogy, before you can get to that, before you can get to your defense, before you can get to your players, you got to have the football. You got to have a football, and you got to understand what that is. And I think you're so right. I think sometimes, at least for me personally, it's just hard for me to sometimes picture what I'm reading in the Bible as real life. It's stories we hear over and over and over. And I almost just picture the people as cartoons, as cartoon people. Like sometimes it's hard to imagine this stuff actually happening. But when I look at it and I say, this is God's word and it's real, it really just helps me out so much to go back and like you said, and just go back to the basics.
Well, coaches and great leaders, great managers, they have a way of making the complicated simple. And like one of the things that a good offensive coordinator will do in football is, Kris is absolutely right. It can be very complicated. But once you simplify it, get down to basics, it's a lot less complicated, a lot easier to execute. And a lot of times just getting back to basics is what's going to get the job done.
Well, Frida, you've been around me for 3 years now, and we've done many, many podcasts that I will say, now you're going to say this is too simple, but you know me well. I always say what's it say in the Bible? It says to be kind. Don't take it past that. Don't say, I'm not going to be kind because they're annoying and give a big laundry list. It doesn't say in the Bible to be kind to those you want. You have to love one another, period. Be kind, period. Put God first, period. It's very basic and very simple. And the same thing as with those coaches. If they say, throw the ball straight and far, that's very simple. And don't make fun of me, guys. That's very simple, but it's very much the same. They know they'll get the success and the best performance keeping it simple. So,
but you know what I see too, Lolo and Frito, is that sometimes the simple, what you understand being simple, can be difficult, and it's going to take some time to actually make it simple in your own life. Let's go back to football, for example. I can be the quarterback, and I can have Frito as my wide receiver, and I could tell him, you know, I'll meet you at the ball with the ball right here. And in practice, it's easy. He's catching against the air. But when we actually get into the game and there's defenders there, just throwing and catching the ball all of a sudden isn't simple anymore. But once we do it over and over and we get into a rhythm, it becomes more simple. And so I think that the more we can go to the Bible and we can live it out, the more we're able to do it. Even if it is just a simple command, it can become more simple to us in our application.
Yeah, don't be intimidated by the Bible. Don't be intimidated by prayer. I think a lot of people, and I'll just point to myself, have been intimidated by prayer when the truth of the matter is it's just a conversation. That's all it is. The Bible, Kris, you talked about cartoon characters, not in a positive way necessarily,
No.
but I tell a lot of non-believers that the Bible is still a great book. The Bible's full of great stories, full of fantastic lessons, full of it's a guide, and just depending on how you want to use it. And I would hope that everyone that reads the Bible will become a believer, but don't be intimidated by it.
It's a playbook too.
Yeah, that's the word I was looking for.
Yeah, it is. I mean, if we are tempted with something, excuse me, we can always go to that playbook and see what is the best play not to fall into this situation. And, my biggest suggestion is to get a Bible in your hand. This actually is my husband's childhood Bible, so it means so much to me. But I know a lot of people that I teach say, well, I have an app on my phone. I read the Bible on my iPad. It's not the same. There's something about holding it in your hand and reading the words. The other thing I want to emphasize is if you can't read the King James Version, get the Message or get the Amplified. Start somewhere, because if you can't understand the these and thous, you're going to put the book down.
Yeah.
And we don't want you to put that book down. And there's so many translations that you can use.
You said it, LoLo. I'm not going to preach on this too long, even though it is probably one of my big things that I'm strongest about, and we've talked about it. You're right. I want you to get a Bible in your hand. And the reason, now I love the Bible app on my phone, don't get me wrong, but it's so easy to get distracted. You'll get a notification that'll come in. It's so easy to click away. Or all you have to do, you're in the middle of reading, let's maybe say you get to, the law, or you get to a genealogy, you just push 2 buttons and you're back on Instagram. It's so easy to get distracted. And so you're right. I'm just going to echo you. I'm going to back you up on that. Get an actual physical Bible in your hand.
Awesome. Sometime we need to do a podcast too on the verse snippets where people take, and I was very guilty of this. I'm not anymore. Very guilty of taking one little proverb 46:5, and because it says, God will give her strength and give her the answer in the morning. Here I am thinking that relates to women and strength, and it's totally not what it is. So sometimes we do a podcast on stop snippeting the Bible.
Yeah.
So, all right. It's great to be with you guys again today, and we will see everybody soon.
Great.